in the studio who actually works at PragerU, Sage Brooks. And I will just say, it might embarrass her, but I'll risk it. She is a gem. It's hard to overstate how impressed all of us are at PragerU with her. Sage is the coordinator for PragerU ad buys. I don't even know what that means. I mean, it could have said, in charge of chair location at PragerU. I wouldn't care. But, so Sage, what do you do at PragerU?
Aside from doing my little part to help...
Come closer to the mic.
Oh, sorry. And aside from doing my little part to help save this country, and actually conserve the values that country great, but us great, I basically, I'm the paid ads specialist. So if you see any ads online, digital, on any platform, that's me and my team working really hard to make sure that we change the minds of people in this country.
Paid ads of PragerU?
Yes.
So were you involved in the Fox News ad?
Not necessarily. Well, as the promotion of it, yes. Not the creation of it, for sure.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, do you have any idea how that's going? Folks, I just want you all to know there is an ad on Fox News for PragerU, which is very, very powerful. How's that going?
It's going very well, actually, and it's being very well received.
I would imagine.
Yes.
It's quite dramatic.
Yes, it was very well produced.
When Amala shows the BLM tattoo, I gotta believe people go, whoa.
Absolutely.
And correctly so. So tell us a little about you. And first of all, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Pasadena, California, the city of roses.
Uh-huh. And what is your own evolution philosophically, socially, politically?
So I was raised as I was raised by my grandmother, and she was a devout Jehovah's Witness. And
interesting.
Yes, she was a very strong woman, and a lot of people, they really comment on my strength, given my story and the things that I've been through in my life. And I credit that to her because I watched her, even though she was a single grandmother, a widowed grandmother, raising 6 children by herself. After raising 11 of her own children, she showed me through her experience, and also what she instilled in me, strength. And so I really took those values very serious growing up. Me and my siblings, we did. And I read the Bible every night. Even though it's different than a Christian Bible, I read it every night.
Wait a minute, how is it different from a Christian Bible?
Well, their
Bible,
know
that.
Yeah, it's called the New World Translation of Holy Scriptures. And when I was bold enough to dive into Christianity, like sneak into it when I had Christian friends in high school, I saw that there were differences in the way that things were interpreted. So it's not that much different, but they do distinguish themselves from regular Christians.
That I know. I'm well aware of that, but I was not aware. If you say to a Jehovah's Witness, have you read Genesis? Their Genesis will be different from a Christian's Genesis?
Not necessarily. Maybe in some interpretations.
So, the interpretations.
Right.
I don't think the text is different. Yeah.
Probably not.
Okay, fine.
In the way that it's written,
So
for
you
sure.
were raised Jehovah's Witness?
Yes, I was.
Did you leave it?
I took it seriously. I instilled the values in myself, and I followed it. And I had this Bible study lady that was anointed. She was one of the 144,000 that were supposed to go to heaven. And I was a child that was very curious. I'm still very curious, and we'll get into that later. But I asked questions that weren't supposed to be asked. And I was like, well, why are you going to go and I'm not? Because they believe that outside of the 144,000, the rest that were good are going to be living on earth forever, being able to play with tigers after God wipes out all of the bad people. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to reign in heaven with God. And so she just didn't give me an answer that I could believe or have faith in. And so I started to question the religion. And by the time I was 17 and my grandmother gave me the freedom to decide if I wanted to still go to the Kingdom Hall with her, I said no. Mm-hmm. So at 17, I went away from the religion.
And you're now 32.
I am.
So we'll have a perspective. All right, I want to get your evolution and how PragerU has touched you, and you have quite a fascinating background. What was that, Sean? Folks, relieffactor.com, 800-500-8384, or at PragerU. She's in the ad department. And I have been burdened with the question all of my life, of how do you make good people? That to me is the most important question society can ever ask, any society at any time. And it ain't easy. I also have come to realize that some people have a nature that makes them different. And as you know, my belief, all good is done by outliers. The herd, I can't think of when the herd has done good. So she's an example of that. And I could talk to you about your upbringing as a black Jehovah's Witness for hours, obviously. So you have siblings, and you're the only one with traditional conservative values. You were telling me off the air. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Did you always have these values?
Inherently, yes, but they were overthrown, so to speak, when I went to college, and I found my way back slowly but surely.
Really? College pushed you leftward?
Absolutely.
What college was that?
I went to California State University, Los Angeles.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's what colleges do. That's their only job is to push people to the left. And then why did you gravitate towards sanity?
Well, as I said before, I always had a very curious mind. I wanted to know everything about everything. And so when I went to college, I dove into a lot of different books. I was listening to a lot of Alex Jones. This was back in 2010. A lot of David Icke. I read a lot of his books, and things like Behold the Pale Horse, and learning about the Trilateral Commission and just how corrupt the government really is. And it really set me in a it just really lowered me in the sense of I already wasn't patriotic because Jehovah's Witnesses don't do politics. We don't salute the flag. Or anything like that. And so growing up, I wasn't patriotic, and I was even less patriotic, reading and learning about how corrupt the world is, and especially the American government. And that's why I didn't even participate in anything when Barack Obama was running. I was just I wasn't caught up in that, though. I understand why other Black Americans would have been. And I also, from a spiritual perspective, was searching for something after I stopped being a Jehovah's Witness. I knew that there was a higher power, and so I started reading the Bhagavad Gita and looking into Hinduism, Buddhism. I read the Quran. I considered becoming a part of the Nation of Islam with Farrakhan, and I even read the Satanic Bible, Dennis. I even picked that up because I wanted to learn all different sides, and I wanted to find the truth. And so, long story short, I just put all of that down, and I decided to just, after, even doing psychedelics and really trying to see what this world is about, I just started to cruise through life just believing in a higher power, believing it at that. I decided to stop blaming my parents for my life circumstance and say, you know what, that was the best they could do. Even though it was very little and I wasn't happy with it, that was really the best that my mom could do. She was going to be in prison for 12 more years, and there was nothing I could ask of her, and my dad just wasn't around. So it's okay. I got it from here. And from then on, I decided to take accountability for my life. And for my decisions. And I tried to reel my siblings in and say, hey, you didn't have a silver spoon, but actually you can feed yourself now. And they for some reason weren't so excited to hear that and to live by that. And so I kind of took this journey alone. And it was in 2019 where when the whole I just started learning more about what's going on worldwide, and especially in this country. And I started to pay more attention to Trump, and I started to support him. Then I started to get involved with Brexit, and then that really that woke up the patriot in me, but also reinvigorated or reignited the conservative values within me. And so just seeing what's going on, I realized more and more what I don't want. I do want a traditional family, even just, seeing my life and not having one nuclear family example around me. It's just not the way that I want to live. I want to really change the cycle of my lineage, really.
Wow. What can I say other than wow? Well, you have this inner spirit built into you. You could have been like your siblings. I mean, the odds would have been you would have been like them. You had a mother in prison and an absent father. I mean, it's not a good beginning. Foster family, there are a lot of fine people, Jehovah's Witnesses. I've met them. They're truly, I mean that sincerely, but it is what we would call an eccentric religion. There's no question about that. I think they would acknowledge that. So you traveled philosophically everywhere. Did PragerU play a role? And I'm not asking this for an affirmation. If it didn't, it didn't. You work with us, that's fine. But did it play a role?
No, it did play a role. I have a friend that so I love Candace Owens. It's a lot of us love Candace Owens, and she began to make. It was one interview that I watched when it was like a black town hall setting where she was with a bunch of rappers, and she was getting, people were kind of attacking her views, and they were very simple views, very common sense views. And I just couldn't understand why people weren't receptive to it. And so I started to pay more attention to her, and she actually had a show on the PragerU channels and network. And so I started watching her show, and that's how I got introduced to PragerU. And just started watching more videos and more of your content, and that they really started to, I learned a lot, really. I'm very inquisitive, and I'm always open-minded, and I stand to be corrected because I don't know everything, though I do have some very firm beliefs. And so I would say yes, PragerU has been a big part of that. And when I got the opportunity to join forces, I jumped on it. I really feel like I'm home here, doing exactly what I'm supposed to be doing.
Well, welcome home.
Thank you.
We'll continue. There is, folks, better than I can explain, the outlier that does good. You're one of them.
Thank you.
Well, I think you know it's true. We'll return. I'm Dennis Prager. Truly riveting, as I just said to you off the air. So we have very little time. I have two questions, and I'll just have to ask you to be brief, even though you are riveting. What would be your message if you could talk to every Black American around your age? What would be your message?
If I could talk to every Black American around my age, obviously my message would be one of self-responsibility, right? Taking accountability for your life. But I think even more so, if I didn't know what I know today and have the life that I've had, not to say that I know everything, but I would love to tell myself that you are more powerful than you can imagine. And so be very, very intentful with your life and with where you want to go, and really think about the future. A lot of people our age are thinking about the now, and that's why everybody's like, oh, I feel depressed, or I feel like I'm something that I'm not. But as far as gender and all these other things, but really think about the future and where we're gonna go as a society. Where what world our children will grow up in, and really just live by that, and check your values and what you really, really want out of this life and out of this country.
And what's your message to people to support PragerU?
Be open-minded. Understand that PragerU is an entity here to serve and really just empower you with knowledge. There's so many things that I've learned just even before PragerU, but just being a part of the ecosystem inside of PragerU. I watch every video that we release. Dennis, you changed my mind on a couple of issues and topics, and that I'd never thought I even, being a conservative and a patriot. And there's some things I disagree with also, which is why I'm happy that you said you can respect someone and still disagree with them. So I appreciate that. I watch every fireside chat, and I learn something every time. But I did not, given my relationship or lack thereof with my parents, there's some things you said with respect to parents regardless, and that has kind of led me to forgive them even more. So I appreciate that.
The hateful message of PragerU. Try to reconcile with your parents. That's a real hateful message. Well, I said you were a gem. You are a gem. Folks, if you want more sages, support PragerU. PragerU.com, 833-PragerU. We continue with the Dennis Prager Show.
The Dennis Prager Show.
Hello, my friends. I'm Dennis.